All right, we are back again with another 2023 NFL season breakdown. I picked all 272 regular season games. It gave me records. I'm going through division by division, team by team, breaking things down for y'all, what you can expect in the upcoming NFL season. We did the AFC South yesterday, and now our final division in the NFC, and it's everybody's favorite, the NFC East. A stacked division, had 3 playoff teams last year. Can the Eagles retain their dominance, get back to another Super Bowl? What about the Giants? They won a playoff game. Are they on the rise? And what about them Cowboys? Everybody's wondering what's going on with them. But let's kick this thing off in our nation's capital. There's a lot of hype energy around this team. New ownership, finally. Dan Snyder, the worst human on planet Earth, is out and bring in a new ownership group. The fans are feeling good. The question is, how good is this team gonna be? All right, your Commanders, you're good. You're finally rid of the evil mean man, Dan Snyder. You bring in Josh Harris and the ownership group. Magic Johnson's a part of it, and the energy has been there. This is a team that the fans have essentially given up on. They had lost all hope. And now people were in the stands. The crowds were loud. They were feeling good. How good is this team really going to be? Honestly, head coach Ron Rivera feels like he's overstayed his welcome. He's a decent head coach. He was good in Carolina, but it just feels like this team is always meandering. They're competitive early. They fade late. They have a decent record, never a disaster record. Now, I am optimistic about new quarterback Sam Howell getting the starting gig. He looked good in the preseason. I'm not going to overstate that it was against second and third stringers, but you'd want him to look good. It's better than looking bad against backups if he's going to be your starting quarterback. This defensive line is as good as you get, but there are some question marks here. Chase Young didn't pick up his fifth-year option. He's been injured. How is that going to affect his play? Some guys play good when their back's against the wall. Some guys just fold. It'll be interesting to see. Now, they had some good additions in the offseason. They reworked the offensive line to help out Sam Howell because the O-line wasn't great, run game wasn't great, quarterback play was kind of up, down, all over the place. He can never get any sort of consistency with this team. The defense was good, but not great. They drafted cornerback out of Mississippi State, Emmanuel Forbes. That'll help on the back end. And they brought in offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy to help spicy up this offense, maybe get him a head coaching job. But the reports out of the camp weren't great. Players already afraid of him, worried about him, say he's too tough. Now maybe that's them being soft. You just don't know. He said this, she said that. Who the hell knows what's going on with this? The problem is the Commanders play in a very good division. And again, I just don't think Sam Howell's it. I think he could be okay. Maybe he's a franchise type quarterback. You just don't know. Now, I do like their wide receivers. Terry McLaurin dealing with turf toe, maybe one of the most underrated receivers in his past few seasons in the NFL. John Dotson coming on strong in the preseason, and towards the end of last season, he had flashes. So this is an interesting team. I just think the division is too good. They just don't get it done. I'm not a big fan of Ron Rivera. I don't know what to think of Eric Bieniemy. My Chiefs fans say he really wasn't doing anything, and when he started doing stuff, the offense wasn't as good. So this is a tough spot for Washington. I got them going 6-11 and finishing in last place, unfortunately. But you have new ownership. You have new pieces there. Let's burn it all down the correct way. Hit the real reset button and build this bad boy back up in Washington. And honestly, I'm all for changing the name back as well. If you don't want to go to Redskins, I personally would go back to Redskins and do it the right way. Go back to Washington Football Team. Unironically, good name. Football team in Washington, good name. But 6-11 for the Commanders this season, and I think they're hitting the real reset this offseason. All right, let's talk about your New York Football Giants coming off of a fantastic season last year. Nobody really had them in the playoffs, let alone winning a road playoff game. Brian Daboll, your coach of the year. This was an all-around great job by this team. They overproduced, they overperformed, and Saquon Barkley was back to the guy we thought he could be. Now, they did a really good job here ironing out the contract issues with Barkley. He got tagged. He was going to hold out. They gave him a one-year deal with a little bit more money. this is still a very, very looming thing over them. They made an awful, awful decision this offseason giving Daniel Jones $40 million. Daniel Jones is not worth $40 million. I'm sorry that's what they paid him, but he's not worth that. $30 million? Yeah, that's what I would have liked to pay Daniel Jones. He was up and down last year. He had 2 good passing games last year. They were both against the Vikings defense. They're both against the worst passing defense in football. So I don't take much stock in that. He ran the ball still kind of good, a little bit less. They didn't have to. But again, they had no weapons for him. What do the Giants do? They go get some weapons. They trade for tight end Darren Waller, and they sign wide receiver Paris Campbell. I like Darren Waller. He's a great tight end, but can he stay healthy? Waller has been really beat up. It really ended super weird in Vegas last year. As soon as you see that red Q next to his name in fantasy, you know, oh boy, this is going to be a disaster. Now, if Waller's healthy, this is a huge, huge upgrade for this team that essentially did nothing with the tight end position last year. He's one of the best in the business when healthy. They add some wide receivers. I was a huge fan of their draft. They added cornerback Deonte Banks out of Maryland. Solid upgrade on the defense. They had center John Michael Schmitz from Minnesota, the consensus #1 center, and they are in love with him. That's a big thing with this team. This offensive line wasn't bad last year, but it wasn't good. They're thinking this is going to be a good to great offensive line this year. Really upgraded one of the best left tackles in football in Thomas. This is just a really, really good front 5. They're going to have a great running back in Saquon Barkley. They have Daniel Jones hopefully getting better under this Brian Daboll offense. They add some pieces for him to throw the football to. I didn't even talk about wide receiver Jalen Hyatt out of Tennessee. They also drafted, who had a really nice preseason. So there was a lot of good adds for the Giants this year. The problem is, like I said, it's a tough, tough division, and I think you might see some regression. Teams are going to have a full season of film. They're really going to know which way to attack this team. The defense is still just kind of like, they blitz a lot, and they sometimes get to the quarterback. Sometimes they don't, and they get burned really, really bad. So I think this is just kind of a good football team. The schedule break they do get is it's a third-place schedule. They made the playoffs, but they finished third in the division last year. So it's a third-place schedule that's very, very beneficial to this Giants team. I got them going 10-7. That's a pretty good mark, but is it good enough to get them into the playoffs in the NFC? It's probably going to come down to some tiebreakers, so they'll be right there competing towards the end, but I'm not going to be shocked if the Giants do just miss the playoffs. Okay, now you're defending NFC East, defending NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles. What to say about the Eagles? We loved them last year, this time coming into the season, and they absolutely delivered. I had them as my 1 seed in the NFC. They were your 1 seed in the NFC. They dominated in all facets of the game. Now, what happens? You lose the Super Bowl, you tend to have a Super Bowl hangover. But the Eagles really get a strong scheduling break. They don't really have a tough game until week 6 against the Jets. They do play the Vikings week 2, but that's at home on a short week, Thursday night. So that's a free game essentially that you should win. So it's a really soft start to the schedule for the Eagles. I expect them to take care of New England week 1. It's in Foxborough. Brady's coming back. Boston fans, get the hell out of here. You're living in fantasy land. The Eagles are going to run through this game. The Eagles really, 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 can you just live up to the hype is the big question. Jalen Hurts gets the contract extension, and I think that was a great move. He soared last year in the offense. Now they lose both coordinators, and that could be a big, big question for them. I'm okay with this. It's a soft schedule, like I said, to open. You go through some growing pains. You go through some adjustments. You maybe have a slight hangover. It's definitely going to work for the Eagles. Now, they lose running back Miles Sanders. They bring in Rashad Penny and DeAndre Swift to fill that up, and that's kind of the Eagles' philosophy at running back. Plug and play. We can put anybody. This is a top offensive line in the league. We're going to grind you into dust, let alone A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith at wide receiver. They really, really changed the game for them. And Dallas Goedert, a solid tight end. They do a good job of getting weapons, protecting their quarterback, and letting Hurts just air it out, baby. He makes the right decision. He makes the right plays. And then, the last time we saw him, he was arguably the best player on the field in the Super Bowl. So I'm very, very high on this team, let alone the defenses. It did get plucked a little bit in free agency. They lost both their linebackers. They lost some D-line depth. But what do they go and do? They go and hit an absolute home run in the draft. They draft Andre Carter, who is arguably the best player in the draft, but a little off the field incident. He slides. They nab him up, and then they get Nolan Smith. We got the Philadelphia Bulldogs on defense, and that's a good way to go. You can't go wrong defending from the back-to-back national champions on defense who absolutely dominated everybody. Andre Carter has been a game wrecker in the preseason, and I don't know why this Eagles defense isn't ranked as high. Secondary, it isn't the best, but guess what? If you can't throw the ball because you're getting killed by the entire defensive line all game, it's not going to be a problem. Pass rush covers up for bad secondaries or less than good secondaries, and the Eagles have a great pass rush. Now, it's going to come back a little bit to earth. It was ridiculous last year, like all-time great. I don't think it's going to be as good. It's almost impossible to be, but it's still going to be best, if not top 3 in the league this season. They got guys from every position on the D-line that can go get people. I think this is a great Eagles team. Now, you could say there hasn't been a back-to-back NFC East winner in like 14 years, which is crazy to think about because the Commanders have been terrible for most of that time, but it is a stat. I do not care about this stat. I got the Eagles going 13-4 once again, winning the NFC East, and clearly your number one team in the NFC. I don't care about the first place schedule. I don't care about the division. This team is just head and shoulders above everybody else in the conference. All right, and finally, the one everybody's been waiting for. You love them, you love to hate them. The most talked about team, maybe the craziest, most polarizing organization in all of professional sports. It's your Dallas Cowboys. Now, the Cowboys, great season last year. They really ran through everybody in the regular season, but they lost some games here. They had Philadelphia. They should have beat them twice. They didn't beat them twice. It's okay. Dak was out for 5 games. They did go 4-1 in those games, but it just wasn't the most cohesive thing on offense, but they did have a great regular season. They come in second in the division. They win a playoff game against a really shitty Buccaneers team, and it looks like, could this team finally break the streak and get into the NFC Championship game? And then the San Francisco game happens, and Dak Prescott looks like a bottom 5 quarterback in the league. This is the biggest thing with this Cowboys team. This defense is going to be the best defense in the NFL, I think, this year. I think they take that step up. It's going to be really hard for me to see them taking a step back. Micah Parsons is only going to get better. Now, maybe Diggs turns into crap because he got paid. I doubt that. I would like Diggs to stop going for so many interceptions and just stop people, stop giving up big touchdowns, which he was much better at last year. I think this is a complete unit. They play as a unit. Dan Quinn is like at the tippy top of head coaching requests because he's got this defense humming. He's identified defensive talent, and it's really taken this team to the next level. So it's all on the offense. Everything is on the offense this season. It's all about Dak Prescott. They just traded for Trey Lance, gave him a 4th-round pick for a backup/third-string quarterback. They might be sending a message to Dak. Hey, you were awful last year. We're paying you a lot of money. You got to get this shit done. It's now or never. They like their offense. They have good wide receivers. They trade for Brandon Cooks, bring him in as the number 2. They expect CeeDee Lamb to take a step up as the number 1 guy. This is it, Dak. Now, you did lose tight end Dalton Schultz. You got rid of Zeke. Nobody cares about Zeke. Tony Pollard's the man in the backfield. Offensive line isn't as good as it used to be. I mean, we talk about the Cowboys' offensive line, best in football, probably in that 8 to 7 range now, which is still more than good enough. It's all on Dak Prescott. He led the league in interceptions last year despite missing 5 games, and he was just abysmal. Now, the videos out of training camp do not give me a ringing endorsement. A lot of bad picks. I know it's training camp, but it's like balls you should not be throwing whatsoever. The Cowboys schedule is also not super easy. Open up at the Giants on Sunday night. Then they get the Jets coming to town. That's a tough opener. Things could slide. I don't think they do, though. I think the defense just overwhelmed teams early. You tend to see very good defenses to start the season, and the offenses tend to take maybe a little bit longer for most teams to get everything crisp and clean. Offensive lines, you don't do as much contact anymore. You don't get as many reps, and it just happens. So I think this defense can carry this team. You add Stephon Gilmore at corner. he's towards the end of his career, but he was pretty solid for a bad Indianapolis team. And like I said, he's going to be your second, third corner. That's a nice add. I didn't love their draft. I didn't love Maisie Smith out of Michigan for your first round pick. I thought there were better options available on the interior defensive line. Luke Shoemake felt like a real reach at tight end, but it was a position of need. It was a deep tight end draft. I think you just could have waited to get a similar quality tight end. You might have been able to get him if you waited a little bit longer. So this entire season comes down to Dak. And I forgot to mention, Mike McCarthy's calling plays now. This is what would petrify me as a Cowboys fan. Mike has shown a complete inability to be a good play caller the last few seasons in Green Bay. It was a disaster with Rodgers. Now you could say, that's a whole different issue. I just don't think Mike McCarthy's a good play caller. They were not happy with Kellen Moore. He's in Los Angeles with the Chargers. I think he's going to shine there, and I think this team's going to take a hit. Now, I think this defense carries the day when you have a number one defense and the offense that's going to be good enough to win football games. I think the Cowboys get back into the postseason. I got them going 11-6 in that wild card, but can they actually get 2 playoff wins and end this conference championship game streak? I think the Lions and the Commanders are the only 2 teams in the NFC not to make a conference championship game since the Cowboys last went in 95. So it's been a long time for Cowboys fans. It's a big question mark, but I got them back in the playoffs. I just don't think they're winning this division, and having to go on the road for 2 games with Dak Prescott seems to be your kryptonite that we've seen in the past. Just it's not there. I'm not a believer in Dak. He doesn't have the mobility, but like I said, they're going to run Tony Pollard. They're going to play bad teams. They'll beat bad teams. This defense will probably beat a couple of good teams because they're just going to be that good on the field. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Am I too low on the Commanders? Am I way too high on the Eagles? Am I sleeping on your Dallas Cowboys? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. We're going to wrap this bad boy up tomorrow with the defending Super Bowl champions and the AFC West. The Chargers, like I said, a new OC. Could they be ready to burst onto the scene? Your defending champs in Mahomes, can they go back-to-back? What about Russell Wilson? Broncos country, let's ride with Sean Payton. Are they a sleeper playoff team? That's a fun division. I can't wait to end it off tomorrow, and then we'll be ready for Thursday night when the Chiefs kick it off against the Lions in Arrowhead. Lot of fun. All right, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I want to hear from you all what your thoughts are on this. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Share this video with your friends. It really helps the channel out a lot. If you want to support the channel more, click that join button or hit the link in the description and sign up for a channel membership. You get a lot of cool emojis and badges and stuff when you can use in our live streams during Monday Night Football games or any live streams. You get cool member shout outs, member only live streams. It helps support me, allowing me to make more of this great sports content for y'all. Again, like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.